We're going to start new with a new program from this video, and to do that I'm going to run idle, and with idle running I'm going to create a new file. There's the immediate window. I'm going to go to File, New File. Once I've got the new file up, I won't need the immediate window. I've now got my file where my code is going to be. Through the magic of new technology, and there is the code. So my recommendations are that you now pause the video and type the code in, then start the video again. Now that I've got my code into the system, I'm going to save it. I haven't saved it already. It's got star untitled, so I know I haven't. So I can go File, and I can choose Save or Save As. It makes no difference. It will lead to the same window because I've never saved it before. I'm going to call this rain.py. Rain is the name of the program, .py is the extension, py is a Python file, and that means that the system knows it's a Python file. I'm going to click on Save. That's now been saved. There's all my code, and the code is very similar to what you had typed before. Hopefully you typed the whole thing in, because the likelihood of you introducing errors if you try to change the previous code, you're going to have a number of problems. If you run this code, the immediate window will appear in a moment. There it is. A new window will appear, and we'll have a line drop from the sky. What is it? It's a raindrop. No more raindrops, only the one. So we can close this down, kill the run mode, so kill it from running, and there it is. Okay. We've understood, we've looked at the import, we understand that that's a library of commands and that we're pulling them in so we can use them. And we understand that it says put all of the instructions in from Pygame's locals subsection. It's from its small library. Imagine walking to a library. This is one set of books on one shelf. Pygame init, initialize Pygame. So get it ready for a new game to start. You found out that this puts the text in the quotes in the top of the window that appears, and this sets the size of the window 1000 by 600 and assigns that window to a name that we call screen. We've already understood that one of the things that Pygame has is a class called clock, and which represents all clocks, and that we create a single clock, an instance, which we've called clock. We've created two variables here, rain_y and rain_x. Now I'm going to take a guess. I don't need to take a guess. I know that the y refers to the y-axis, that's the up and down, and the x references the x-axis, left to right. But these values, at the moment, these names are arbitrary, not important, and the values are assigned. So rain_y gets a 0, and 400 gets transferred, gets assigned to, that's what the equals means, assigned to rain_x. These are stored so we can talk about them. Notice, by the way, there's an underscore. Variable names can have underscores, can't have spaces, can have capitals, but we try not to in variable names. Certainly not in the beginning. In certain cases we might in the middle or later on. But we can use the underscore, which looks a bit like a space. We've got our while loop. We know this is looping through all of this indented code. How many times? Well, infinitely, because while 1 is 1, well, it always is. We know that this is restricting the number of times all this code can run to 60 times per second. And we understand that for event in Pygame event.get, that if there is an event in Pygame, so if something happens, someone presses a key or anything else inside this system, then what we ask it to do is check that that event is not asking the game to quit. If it is, then close down the system. Now, because we're running this in idle, that command is not working very effectively. That's why I have to close the immediate window, which then closes our main window. Screen.fill. We know screen is our window that we've pulled up, and we're telling it to fill that background of that window with the 3 colors set to their maximum, which gives us white. We now know that we're adding 4 to whatever rain is. Rain underscore y. We're adding 4, so it was 0, so it's now 4. This time we're not drawing a circle, we're drawing a line. And then the last line tells it to update the screen. So taking all of this information, now redraw the screen for us. Now change the screen. None of this occurs until we tell it to redraw, update that display. Notice I didn't say very much about this line. There's quite a lot in this line. I want to just go back to one other thing, by the way. Notice that this is a sign, equals. Equals, unlike mathematics, doesn't mean this is equal to it. It means assign whatever is this side, assign it to this variable, to whatever's on this side. Now I can do mathematics. I could, for example, do 400 plus 4. That would simply perform this calculation and assign the result of it to this variable. This variable would store 404. I can send lots of things and store it into a variable. That simply means store it in this variable. But if we look at our if statement is comparing. It's comparing the event that has occurred with a particular event. If the event that the user did is equivalent to the quit command, then do this instruction here. This is a compare, so it's 2 equals. So the 2 equals sign is a compare, while 1 equals sign is an assign. That doesn't help us with this line at all because there's no equals. But this line is useful to look at. It's very similar to the circle line, but there are things that are different about this line. It's very similar to the command we had before. We're going to look at some of the changes that have occurred on this line. For example, what do you think this controls? What do you think the final 1 does? Let's now consider these two. These 2 brackets. What do you think these 2 parts do? What if you altered the 5? What does that do? This is very similar to the screen command that we used before in our last game, in the circles. But we have changed something. We have changed these values. And we did look at this before, but just to help make sure that you've understood it, what do these change? What does the 1000 define? What does the 600 define? Once you're happy with that, feel free to watch the next video.